What it do? Back here with another video. And I decided to make an early prediction, mostly for the top 3 fights for the Saudi Arabia card. I mean, a lot of the fights are really great, but I really don't have time to review the whole card, and I want to review these 3 fights because these 3 fights I'm very much looking forward to, just because, I like these fights. I guess we're going to have to start with Sergey Pavlovich, and also Nurmagomedov versus Oliveira. It's finally happening. Just kidding. It's like we got Nurmagomedov versus Oliveira from Wish. I thought that was funny. But okay, we got the Pav versus Biggie Boy, and this is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be a good striking fight, and I suspect either one of these guys are gonna get knocked out. I don't think this fight's gonna go to decision. I don't think it should. It's a heavyweight fight. If it goes to decision, then that sucks. But I mean, Pavlovich has been on a, let's say, 2-fight skid. He got knocked out by Aspinall in pretty much a minute, and then he got pretty much embarrassed by Volkov for 3 rounds, and now he's on a 2-fight skid. He got 2 losses now, and I think a lot of people are seeing that, Sergey Pavlovich isn't really as good as he used to be, right? But now he's going to get someone like Rozenstruik, And, Rozenstruik, he's a very good counter striker. He's a very good kickboxer. And he definitely could knock people out. But I just don't see, Rozenstruik is kind of going off a winning streak right now. I think he beat Type Tuivasa. And then before that, he beat Gaziev. And he beat them pretty fairly. He destroyed them. That one judge scorecard giving 3 rounds into Tuivasa is crazy. But yeah, that was a 30-27 Tuivasa, pretty much 50-45 Shamil Gaziev, and yeah, he's been on a roll. He's been going up and through the rankings, and this is a good jump up, But I think the last 2 fights, going against a reinvented Volkov and then going against Aspinall, it's like, him losing to those 2 guys really doesn't mean much, just because those 2 guys are probably the 2 best heavyweights right now, and Volkov should most definitely be the number 2 contender, not gone. But I see Pavlovich, coming back with a vengeance. I think this is the perfect opponent, Rozenstruik has been very vulnerable when it comes to, pressure fighters. Not pressure fighters, but when he gets pressured and he gets backed up, he doesn't really do well when it comes to his counter striking. He likes having his distance. And I think Pavlovich's, aggressive boxing style will definitely give Rozenstruik some problems. And Pavlovich still got power. He can still knock people out easily. Before the Aspinall fight, he was on a 6-fight winning streak with all first-round knockouts. And he was the most dangerous heavyweight. But although he did lose to Aspinall and Volkov, don't count him out just yet, I don't think Vegas odds are counting him out. He's a huge favorite going to this fight. UFC doesn't show it, but he's a minus 350 or 300 favorite going to this. And I'd say, honestly, I think he can knock out Rozenstruik. I think it's going to be a very easy fight for him, and I think it's a good fight for him to rebound on, But I'm not counting out Rozenstruik too. I think if he does this safe, if he does what Volkov did, and use the kicks effectively, use his kickboxing really well, keep distance, kind of limit Pavlovich's boxing, he can for sure get a win, And but the thing is, he does have to survive 3 rounds with Pavlovich, and I don't trust Rozenstruik's chin that much. Granted, he did get knocked out by a few amount of people, but it's not to say that Rozenstruik's a bad fighter. He's definitely one of the more skilled heavyweights we've seen, especially in the striking, and he's a very good counter striker, which I think could give Pavlovich some problems. But I'm gonna go with Pavlovich here. I think Pavlovich has the tools to beat Rosenstruck to give him problems on the feet, and I think he can knock him out. If I'm going with a pick, I'm going Pavlovich, and I'm going to go round 1 knockout, you know? I think this is his fight to rebound. I think Pavlovich is going to come back, and I think he can make himself in a case to maybe get himself back into the title picture. Because I'd love to see a rematch with him fully prepared. You know, he did take that fight on short notice. So, I'd love to see that. Maybe even a rematch. Maybe see him against Gane. I'd love to see that fight. I know Gane has been avoiding him, but I'd love to see that one. Just because I don't really like Gane. And I hope Pavlovich knocks his ass out. He didn't deserve to win that last fight, that's for sure. Anyways, enough yapping. Got Pavlovich by round 1 knockout. Going bold here, but I think he'll do it. I think it'll be a good fight. And if not, I think Rosenstruck might be able to edge himself a decision if he keeps his distance, uses the kicks really well, which I think he might. I think that's the game plan. If he uses that same game plan Volkov used, I think he'll definitely do really well. But I think Pavlovich would probably know better to maybe adjust his fighting style and, be able to get through those. So, I think Pavlovich got this. Round 1 knockout. Next, we got Sharyl Magomedov versus Michael Venom Page, MVP. I mean, okay, it's tweaking. But, I mean, this is a very solid matchup. Honestly, this is one of the best fights on this card. I mean, this is really good. You got 2 talented strikers, 2 very good strikers, 2 powerful strikers as well. I mean, Sharyl Magomedov, he's on a roll. He's undefeated. He recently had that knockout against Petrosian, And, I mean, it was a sick knockout. And one thing for sure is Chara is a very good striker. But MVP is doing good as well. I mean, in my opinion, his fight against Ian Gary did expose his lack of a ground game. But I don't think he's going to worry about that in this fight. Sharyl Magomedov isn't really a wrestler. Doesn't really use his ground game. He's kind of not good at the ground game. Sharyl Magomedov is a striker. Striker pretty much through and through. He doesn't go for the takedowns, and I don't think he will go into takedowns for this fight. But I think one thing a lot of people are kind of getting carried on is the fact that, Shaw is a slow starter. And we saw that against the Petrosian fight. Round one went to Petrosian, and Petrosian was doing really well until that knockout. And that's what I see in his problem with this fight, is that MVP is the opposite. He is a fast starter. He gets on you immediately. And I just think MVP is probably it's a really difficult matchup for Chara. I mean, granted, MVP did recently lose to Ian Gary, I think in June, 303, I think, yeah. And frankly, let's just be real. Ian Gary really only won that just because he was grabbing onto dear life wrestling and trying to get control time, and that got him the decision win. But MVP was demolishing Ian Gary on the feet, and Ian Gary's a very good striker. I mean, he made Ian Gary turn into a wrestler. So MVP striking should not be counted out. And in middleweight, he's gonna have more power. Do I doubt? I think Char's gonna be the bigger man. I think MVP's probably 190, 200, and then Char's 210. 220. So Char's going to have the weight advantage, which I kind of see as a problem. But this is pretty much a very big step up in competition. Let's just be real. Petrosian and Tricoli and Oleg Jacek, I mean, they're decent guys, but they're not guys that are like MVP. MVP's a very good, talented striker. He's defeated a lot of big names. He demolished Kevin Holland, and he's ranked. And this is going to be a huge step up, I think this is going to be a tough matchup for Chara. I don't see him really doing well in this fight. I don't. MVP's a fast starter, and he gets on you immediately, and his way of evading strikes, his point fighting, I think it's going to give Chara a lot of trouble. Chara's not going to get started, He's not going to be able to, use his kickboxing effectively. And I think Chara's going to struggle a lot, especially in that first round. I think the first round would go to MVP. And I just think that, he is going up a division. 15 pounds is a lot. But I think that benefits MVP a lot more than it benefits Shara. And Shara's not that much bigger than MVP. So, sure. For sure, I just think that I think this is going to be Shara's first loss. I think MVP could beat Shara. I just think MVP is the better striker. He's the more powerful striker. This is a huge step up in competition for Shara, and honestly, the fact that Shara doesn't have that much of a ground game kind of makes it worse. Because, like, if he did have some wrestling like any other Dagestani does, for sure I'd take him to win this fight by decision. But in a 3-round fight, it benefits MVP a lot more than it benefits Shara. And MVP's not gonna gas. He's not gonna, give up. He's not like these other guys, He's a very talented striker, and he's gonna go in there fast. He was laying out Kevin Holland. He was destroying Ian Gary on the feet. And these are very talented strikers. And honestly, I'd say Kevin Holland is probably a bit better. And Ian Gary, I think both of those guys are a bit better and have faced better competition than Shara. I think Shara's hype ends here. I'm going to pick MVP. I think he's a slight underdog. Plus 150 is not slight, but still small underdog going into this fight. I think take MVP. I mean, MVP is just a really talented striker. You got power. I think he destroys Shara. He does. I mean, it's going to be a big fraud check coming. It's going to be an entertaining fight. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be competitive, but I think my MVP takes this. So, underdog pick, MVP. These the Dagestani hype's going down, Umar got fraud checked by Murab, and we're kind of seeing these Dagestanis go away from that invincibility thing, And I think we're going to see that trend soon, Shara's going to probably get his first loss from this fight. Khamzat might get his first loss from DDP. A lot of people are sleeping on DDP. And I think if DDP wins against Sean Strickland, I think he could win against Khamzat too. Depends on how well he does against Strickland. Because I do have a controversial pick for that fight. You'll see. But, yeah, MVP takes this. I think Shara doesn't have the ground game to really be able to even it out. I think MVP's just a lot better striker. He's a lot more powerful striker. And I think Shara's not going to have that opportunity to really put the pressure on MVP. MVP does really good with the evading and the distance management. And he's a fast starter. Shara's a slow starter. I just don't see I think Shara might pick up the pace later. But MVP's just not going to give it to him. So, if I were to predict right now, I have MVP by decision or by knockout. But I'd go decision to be safe. But go with knockout if you want to feel bold. It's probably like a plus 300, plus 500 or something. Yeah, I'm taking MVP. I think this is the end of the Shara hype train. And you know what? I think a lot of people are overrating Shara. We saw in those last two fights. It's just like it doesn't really convince me that this guy is champion material yet. He still has a lot to do, and I think his hype is kind of overhyped. He's overhyped just because he's Dagestani and he had one cool knockout over a guy who was pretty much beating him up in the first 2 rounds. So, MVP's not going to be like Petrosian. He's not going to gas in the second round. And he's not going to give Shara the opportunity to knock him out. So, we'll see. This is going to be a very entertaining fight. But I got MVP. And I think MVP takes this easily. Next, we got the main event. 5 rounds. We got Israel Adesanya versus Imavov. Good fight. This is a good one. Israel Adesanya is recently coming off a loss to Dricus du Plessis, getting submitted in the 4th round. And then before that, he took a 1-year layoff. Almost a 1 year, like 11 months. And before that, he got dominated by Sean Strickland. And his last win was early 2023. So, it's been a while. I think right now, here, it would be almost 2 years since he's had a win. So, it's tough to say it, but I think Adesanya is kind of going on a downhill trend. He's not the same guy he used to be. He's not the best middleweight anymore. You know, that this is the Dricus du Plessis, Sean Strickland, Khamzat Chimaev era. Like I said before was the Israel Adesanya and the Robert Whittaker era, and those two guys were like pretty much. It's like the Max Holloway Volkanovski kind of thing. You know, Robert Whittaker was the number one contender that defeated all the other contenders, and Israel Adesanya was the one who pretty much always defeated that number one contender, like how Max and Volk were like. And now it's like, it's kind of similar, I guess. But now it's like a trifecta now. It's Dricus du Plessis, Sean Strickland, Khamzat Chimaev, you know. Either three of these guys will become champion, you know. And I think Khamzat Chimaev is more favored to become champion, but we'll see. I mean, I can't wait for the rematch, man. It's a rematch that's been longing to happen, you know. I thought it was going to happen in like an immediate rematch with Sean Strickland for 305 or something, but didn't happen. That was going to be for 302, didn't happen. We gave Adesanya that title shot, which was stupid, but obviously we wanted him to be champ again, but he didn't. Now he has to be a contender again. He has to go fight the number 5 guy. And let me tell you, I mean, I think Adesanya could win this fight. Let's just face it. I mean, just because Adesanya did lose to Dricus du Plessis, Adesanya is still showing that he can still strike with the best of the best, and he's still really good. Although he's not the same man he was when he defeated Robert Whittaker and was the champion for many years. He's still very good, and honestly, I think he's just way better than Imavov in the striking. And I just don't think Imavov's grappling is going to be, I just don't see it, you know, being a factor in this fight, you know? I mean, let's look at the grappling stats, you know? I mean, Imavov's not that much of a grappler. He isn't. They're pretty similar. And, I mean, if you look here, Adesanya is the favorite. Granted, I think the odds changed. He was a minus 230, but now he's minus 175. It's getting closer. But this is going to be a striking bout. This is probably not going to go to the ground. I think Imavov would try to get a takedown, but it's going to be hard. You know, Israel Adesanya's takedown defense, honestly, it has kind of been exposed by DDP. And let's face it, Vettori and Robert Whittaker aren't the best wrestlers. It's like there's a lack of grappling. That's why Khamzat Chimaev does so well in middleweight. So, I mean, DDP did expose Adesanya's grappling, so I kind of suspect that takedown defense to be a bit sus. But Imavov's takedown, like, his grappling isn't really that good. Like, we saw in the Brendan Allen fight, I mean, it wasn't something so impressive to where I would think that he would win by decision. But I think this is going to be mostly a striking fight, and we could already see Adesanya already has like a huge reach advantage. He has a height advantage. He has a huge leg advantage. Adesanya is the better striker. He's a very good counter striker, good kickboxer. His leg kicks are really good. I'm surprised he didn't use them in that DDP fight, but hopefully uses them in this fight. And I think Adesanya is going to be the one putting the pressure. I think he's going to change up that game plan, you know, try to be more aggressive, you know. And I just think that Imavov is going to get outmatched here. I mean, Imavov has been making a name for himself, but let's be for real, you know. I mean, he did beat Dolidze in a really controversial way. He had a controversial stoppage win against Cannonier. And then he had a very unimpressive win over Brendan Allen, which honestly was... the fight just sucked. But, so, he definitely got up there. But I just think Adesanya, this is gonna be a good bounce back fight. And if I'm gonna be honest, I don't think he deserves another title shot from this win. He needs to prove himself again and again. Because here's the thing, he loses to DDP again. He loses to Sean Strickland again, and then he would lose to Khamzat Chimaev. It's like there's just no way he's gonna become champion again. You know, unless if DDP becomes champion again and somehow loses to Adesanya. But I just don't see it. And I just think he needs more wins to kind of get himself back, you know, maybe fight Imavov and then maybe fight a Barajo, you know. And then maybe fight the winner of Brendan Allen and Anthony Hernandez. So I think he needs more wins, but I'm going to take him to win this fight. And if I'm going to take him to win this fight, I'm going to take him to win by decision. I think it's going to be a striking masterclass from Adesanya. Adesanya is just better in the striking. He's just way better at landing those shots. And I mean, this is going to be, honestly, this is going to be a striking masterclass. I see a 49-46 incoming for Adesanya. Adesanya is going to come back in here with a vengeance. He's not having any emotion in this fight that's going to distract him. This is the determined contender Adesanya we wanted, not the contender we got with DDP. So, I mean, I love to see Adesanya come back, man. He's one of my favorite fighters. His fighting style is so good. Man, like his rise to fame and his reign is probably one of the best we've seen. So, for sure, this is a good bounce back fight. I'm going to take him to win by dominant decision. I don't see him knocking out Imavov, but it could happen. So, if you want to sprinkle that in there, maybe Adesanya by knockout. But he's not really a knockout artist. He doesn't really knock out that many people. So, I mean, he knocked out Alex Pereira, but let's be real. Alex Pereira was way too drained for that fight. The man is a heavyweight cutting down to middleweight. So, you know, at least he was so weak that Adesanya could KO him, you know? So, and apart from that, it's like other knockouts like Robert Whittaker, it's like, and Paulo Costa. I guess Paulo Costa was a good knockout, but that shit was 4 years ago. So, 5 years ago, actually. So, yeah, I'm taking Adesanya by decision. I think it's going to be a very dominant performance by Adesanya. I think he's going to master him on the striking, be way better in the striking, outstrike him, land the better shots, and I just don't think Imavov's grappling is going to threaten him that much. So, we'll see. I mean, I just don't see many ways Imavov could win this fight, or maybe I'm just on the Adesanya hype right now. But, yeah, I'm taking Adesanya by decision. Anyways, that's my picks for UFC Saudi Arabia. I'll be back later to pick my picks for UFC 312. See ya.